Guys, it's Sarah and today's BookList Thursday. So this is a video series that I do with my friend Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library. And every Thursday we bring you some sort of list of some sort of book topic that we want to talk about. So this week we are going to be talking about books that are series that maybe shouldn't be. These probably shouldn't be an entire series. Maybe it's not necessary to be an entire series. And there's going to be different reasons for all of these picks here. Mine is a little tricky because a couple of these series are book series that I have not read all of them. But I still have feelings on why maybe they shouldn't be series. So let's get started. All right, I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid because I think this first one is going to be a very unpopular opinion. I don't think The Hunger Games should be a series. I feel, as much as I loved these, because I did, don't get me wrong, this one wasn't my favorite, but this one was. And this one I love too. So while I did love this series and I love the story, and it really is one of my favorite series, I actually think that this could have just been one big epic story from start to finish. It could have just been one book. And the reason for that is I think a lot of things got drawn out, especially in this one, that maybe weren't necessary and didn't really add too much to the story, that it could have just been, or maybe even a duology, maybe just, two good books. And having the first Hunger Games, having that first experience there. And then the second one being where everyone comes back and, it's the second competition where it does all this stuff, something like that. I don't think it needed to be a trilogy. I think some things just got unnecessarily drawn out or touched upon, that could have been cut out and didn't really add anything to it. So that's my opinion on that. I think maybe either one big, long 600-page book for these, or maybe a duology. The second one I'm going to talk about is a series that I only read the first book, and I'm actually not going to continue with the series, and that's Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. And I did read the first book, and I enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 4 stars, but I didn't love her writing. The writing just took too much out of me. It took so long for me to read it because you really have to dissect what you're reading with her writing. And I don't always enjoy that. And for this one being a dystopian, like a young adult dystopian, I don't think it should be that hard to read. You know what I mean? So I didn't love that. And now, it had the original trilogy, and now there's a 4th book out randomly years after the trilogy was supposed to have been done and complete. And now there's a 4th one out, and I'm hearing really bad things about it. So definitely not one I'm going to continue with. Like, I read the first one, I'm good. And I just don't feel like it's going in a good direction based on the 4th book from the feedback that other people who have been reading it have been saying, and people who love that series have been saying about the 4th book. So I think it probably maybe should have just stayed a trilogy. All right, this next one hurts my heart a little bit that I'm having to say this, but it's truly, truly my opinion. And that's You by Caroline Kepnes. Now, this is one of my favorite books of all time, like top 5. One of my favorite books of all time. But there's a sequel to this, and I don't think it should have been there. I liked it enough that I still gave it 4 stars, but it definitely isn't as good as this one, like not even close. You're still following Joe, you're still in his head, but it's a completely different scenario. He's in a completely different place. He's with completely different people. And I did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed this one for sure. Maybe it's because I already knew Joe, or I felt like I already knew him, but I didn't enjoy the happenings in that quite as much. It wasn't as shocking to me as this one was. And he was making some decisions that didn't feel like they were Joe. And when I read it at the time, I read it very closely after I read this, and I gave it 4 stars, but I think it's because I was just so in love with this one and with Joe as a character that I just gave it 4 stars. Like, if I reread it today, I'd probably rate it lower than what I did when I originally read it. But I don't think it needed a sequel. I think the way that this ended and with this book right here is just perfect. I don't think it needed anything else. So for me, I think number 2 should not have happened. And I hope there's not a number 3 because I probably won't read it, to be honest with you. But yeah, so it hurts my heart to say this, but I think this should just be a standalone and that's it. And it's perfect. And I love it. And like top 5. All right. This next one is a series I haven't read at all. I haven't read this series, but I feel like I've heard enough feedback that I could say with confidence that I don't think the Divergent series from Veronica Roth should have been in series. I think that should have been one book because so many people hated the second and third book. Hated and loved the first one. Like the first one was so great and everyone was screaming about it. And then the second book was like, eh. And then the third book was like rage hate. People hated it so much the way it ended. And it's funny because I've heard Veronica Roth say if she had to rewrite them, she wouldn't change a thing. That's how it ends. Love it or hate it. A lot of people hate it, but whatever. So good for you, Veronica, for sticking to it. But I think this probably could have just been like one big story, one big book, and probably cut out a lot of things that maybe people didn't enjoy quite so much, that type of thing. So not to say that it shouldn't be a thing at all, but I don't think based on the feedback from the second and third book that it should have been that long and had that much going on. It probably could have been condensed into one big book. And this next one is a series that I only read the first book. There are now 3 books out in it, I believe. And it's Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. I loved Me Before You. I gave that book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I didn't have any problems with the content or the way it was written or whatever. I didn't have any of those issues that other people have had. But there's 2 sequels now, and I don't think they were necessary. And for me personally, I don't care enough about that character to continue reading the other 2 books. Like I really didn't have any interest in reading the other 2. The second one I did pick up from the library one time, but I didn't get to it and I just took it back and haven't even thought about it since. So I was mildly curious, but then I was hearing that it was just okay. And I was like, okay, then I'm not interested in it. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I just don't feel like there was enough to that character to keep me personally interested in what her story was going to be like after Me Before You. I was definitely interested while I was in that story, but afterwards, like, I didn't care. So maybe it should have just been a standalone. All right, guys, that's it for me today. So let me know down below some of your answers. Do you agree with me on some of these? Do you disagree with me on some of these? I have a feeling I'm going to get some backlash for the Hunger Games. Just okay. It's okay. It's all right. I'm at peace with my decision. But let me know if you guys have any series that you think should not have been series or, could have been done in 1 or 2 books instead of 6, that type of thing. I would like to know your answers down below. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Make sure you go check out Lindsay's channel and see what she says today. I'm really excited to see what she thinks. And we will see you later. Have a great day, guys.